Let's first look at hardcoat stucco.
What happens to stucco that causes it to leak? Does it leak through cracks? At the edges of windows? It's real common for us to see caulking at the edges of windows on a leaking house. But what makes stucco repair difficult is that leaks aren't caused by anything that can be seen from the outside. Water gets into a hardcoat stucco system by design. It's meant to get behind the surface and to travel within the base coat. The properties of the colored stucco finish, the density and thickness of the cement base coat, play a role in how well a system drains. But what ultimately keeps water from getting through the stucco are the building papers and flashings which are behind the stucco itself. The building materials that make up an exterior wall are protected from the elements by the hidden components of the hardcoat stucco system. By hardcoat, we are referring to stucco that has a base coat that is cementitious. The building papers and flashings, the wire lath, the cement base coat, and the colored finish all play a role in protecting a building. It is a common misunderstanding that the water that gets on a hardcoat stucco surface remains on the surface and then runs off onto the ground. In reality, however, the outer layers are basically made up of sand and cement. Because of this, they are porous. Water is meant to get behind the surface and travel through the base coat. When it rains, water eventually saturates the color finish, and then the cement base coat, and reaches the building papers. After it stops raining, the saturated system drains with the help of gravity out the bottom. Once dried, the system is ready for the next storm. The drainage plane is the path of water through the stucco. There are 4 major reasons that a drainage plane fails. Number 1, the improper installation of building paper and window flashings. Number 2, overstapling of the wire lath. Number 3, failed roof-to-wall connections. And number 4, thin stucco base coat. This is a house where no window flashings were installed. The stucco around the edges of the windows has been removed. By window flashing, we are referring to the craft paper flashing that is placed behind the window fins. When these paper flashings are properly installed, they provide a moisture barrier at the window openings. Wire lath, or chicken wire, holds the cement base coat onto the building. In general terms, the requirements for fastening the wire lath state that no 2 staples will be closer than 6 inches to each other. We often see as many as 200 staples in a single square foot area. The majority of these staples are in between the studs and are poking through the plywood into the wall cavity. Each small black mark or line you see is the imprint left by the black building paper at a staple location. The small holes that can be seen are only at the locations where the wood has begun to rot around the staple where water penetration has occurred. By failed roof-to-wall connections, we are referring to those areas where a lower roof butts up to an upper stucco wall, or where the roof meets the chimney chase. Water-related damage can happen quickly at these locations. The following homes are just 2 of many that we have repaired with similar problems. Most Utah stucco homes are constructed just like these that follow.
This is a home that we've been called out to repair. It's located along the Wasatch Front in Utah. The reason the homeowner called us is because they've noticed this slight discoloration and the cracks in the stucco. Now, looking at this wall, you think it's pretty much okay. There's not going to be any problems. And in fact, the homeowner just thought we could probably touch up these cracks so that it looked better. Take this stucco off, you'll see that there is some major structural problems going on behind this stucco. We removed the stucco. We found dry rot behind it. Now we're going to remove the dry rotted sheeting and inspect the 2x4s or 2x6 framing members to see how much dry rot has occurred. This is the insulation behind the sheeting, and then this is the stud. This is a 2x6. This would be the bottom plate on the 2x6 wall. This is the stud. Now remember, this is a 6-year-old home that we're working on right now. This is mold growing out on top of the sheeting, and what causes this is water getting trapped behind the stucco. The mold begins to get heavier and the damage is increased as we get to where there's been more moisture. The mold begins to destroy the sheeting of the home and then works on the thicker and heavier framing members, and then it continues down into the, you can see that the bottom plate here, the subfloor is dry rotted. That's the flooring that goes over the joists. And you can see the mold here. It's growing. It's almost like a mushroom. The shear wall, or the sheeting on the outside of the home, is very important to the structure and the stability of the home. And you can see that it's just been totally compromised. There's no shear strength at all.
This is another roofed wall connection that has failed. As you can see here, the 2x6 studs have completely rotted away.